প্রিয় দর্শক সবাইকে স্বাগত জানাচ্ছি টাইম টেলিভিশনের নিয়মিত অনুষ্ঠান ল অ্যান্ড ইমিগ্রেশনে। দর্শক আপনারা জানেন ল অ্যান্ড ইমিগ্রেশন অনুষ্ঠানটি টাইম টেলিভিশন থেকে প্রচারিত হয় প্রতি সপ্তাহে এবং এই অনুষ্ঠানটির মধ্য দিয়ে আমরা দর্শকদের বিভিন্ন প্রশ্নের উত্তর দিয়ে থাকি, বিশেষ করে আইনগত সমস্যা নিয়ে আমরা সরাসরি কথা বলি এবং আমাদের স্টুডিওতে উপস্থিত থাকেন প্রতিবারই কোনো আইন বিশেষজ্ঞ। আজকে আমাদের স্টুডিওতে উপস্থিত আছেন অ্যাটর্নি অ্যাট ল Marijan. Welcome, Mr. Marijan, to our studio and to Time Television.
Good evening, and thank you very much for having me.
How are you? How is everything?
Very good, very good. It's really a pleasure to be here with your viewers and to talk about immigration, particularly tonight, because it's an election night, among other things. Am I right?
Okay, let's start then.
Yes,
and,
please.
Also, we'll have some phone call to you.
Very good.
প্রিয় দর্শক, আপনারা আমাদেরকে সরাসরি ফোন করতে পারেন। টাইম টেলিভিশনে এই মুহূর্তে এই অনুষ্ঠানটি সরাসরি প্রচারিত হচ্ছে। আমাদের অনুষ্ঠান যখন চলবে তার মাঝখানে আপনারা আপনাদের যদি আইনগত কোনো বিষয় জানার থাকে, আজকে মিস্টার মারিজান অ্যাটর্নি অ্যাট ল উনি আছেন, বিশেষ করে ইমিগ্রেশন, অ্যাসাইলাম এবং যে কোনো আইনগত সমস্যা নিয়ে আপনারা ফোন করতে পারেন। আমরা চেষ্টা করব সে সমস্ত প্রশ্নগুলোর জবাব দেওয়ার জন্য। তাহলে চলুন দেরি না করে আমরা শুরু করি এবং ফোন নাম্বারটি আপনাদেরকে আরেকবার বলে দিই, যে ফোন নাম্বারটিতে আপনারা আমাদের সরাসরি ফোন করতে পারবেন। সেটি হচ্ছে 929-999-1839. Let's start then. And also your office phone number is 718-213-5700, right?
Yes, this is what I wanted to say. I have an office in Jackson Heights, Queens, in addition to a couple of other offices. So a lot of people basically in our Bangladeshi community from Jackson Heights, Woodside, Astoria, Jamaica Avenue and Atlantic Avenue and the others can always come to my Queens office. They can just call the number 718-213-5700 and I'm really happy to speak with them. And we also have a Bengali speaking staff. Even for those who do not speak a word of English, that's perfectly fine. They can always call. There will be someone to answer their questions, their concerns, and then they can make appointment and definitely come to the office and speak with me as well.
Okay, let's start with immigration. Nowadays a lot of people are coming to this country, especially they're seeking for political asylum and they want to change their immigration status. So you are working on it and helping people. So can you please share with us how people can seek political asylum in this country?
Yes, it's excellent question. It is unfortunate fact and an unfortunate situation that in Bangladesh the political and economic situation is unfortunately worsening, or it's very difficult. So due to the situation there, so now we'll say what exactly has to happen in order for someone to qualify for political asylum. The pure fact that a situation, particularly economic situation, is difficult, that there's some sort of economic crisis, is not sufficient for political asylum. There has to be more than that. American immigration law defines basically political asylum person as somebody who is trying to escape the past persecution, which means some sort of a politically motivated violence that happened against that person in the past. It's a little bit narrow definition there. Or who has a well-founded fear of future persecution. So once again, don't be bothered by that. It's a legal term. Persecution, it means prosecution, but it's more than that, because prosecution is sometimes institutional by the state and it's legal. But in case that you see very often from Bangladesh, you have these local governments, a local official actually prosecuting politically people because of political activities. It's obviously not by the American standards. Persecution is usually some sort of a political violence. To give you an idea, when you have a gathering, legal or illegal, of basically political activists, and then one party activists come to the square and they try to start intimidating, threatening, beating other political activists that are trying to disperse the crowd or something like this. Or if somebody is targeted because of his views about the government, about the anti-corruption, about the situation in the country, and he makes these views somehow known to other people, expresses that political opinion, and then other people, other supporters of the government or the police or local authorities basically go after him or go against him. This is what we would call a persecution. So persecution it is prosecution, but it's a little bit more than that. It has to be like politically motivated. And it doesn't have to be that person qualifying for political asylum necessarily dealt with politics. We had a situation that recently had a very successful asylum application.
Can you please hold, because
Sure.
I think we get a phone.
Oh, we have the first call already? Okay.
আমরা অপেক্ষা করছি, আমরা বোধহয় একটা ফোন এসছে, আমরা হ্যালো হ্যালো নিউ জার্সি, ওকে ওকে, বলুন বলুন। আচ্ছা, আপনি কি একটু রিপিট করবেন যে আপনি আপনি কিভাবে ঢুকেছেন বললেন?
আমি আনইন্সপেকশনে বর্ডার উইদাউট ইন্সপেকশন ঢুকছি নিয়ার ভিতরে।
আচ্ছা 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 আচ্ছা, আমরা আপনার প্রশ্নের জবাব দিচ্ছি।
হ্যাঁ, আমি উইদাউট ইন্সপেকশন ঢুকছি। এখন আমি ওয়ার্ক পারমিট বা গ্রিন কার্ডের জন্য কি করতে পারি?
আচ্ছা, ওয়ার্ক পারমিট অ্যান্ড গ্রিন কার্ড, ওকে ওকে। আপনার প্রশ্নের উত্তর দিচ্ছি দর্শক, আপনাকে ধন্যবাদ প্রশ্ন করার জন্য। Someone is calling from New Jersey. So he came this country, so far I understand, like years ago.
And entered without inspection. I heard
Right,
that.
right,
I
right,
heard
right.
that
You
part.
got it. You
When you
got it.
jumped the border. Okay.
Right, right.
But then what was the question?
Question was that now how can he, get, he can legalized here, getting the working permit, or and after that,
Right.
green card, or
Right. It's a good question. I
Right.
really appreciate the call. I really appreciate the question. And it's a very good one. Unfortunately, American immigration law, after the last change that happened about 10 years ago or so, became very restrictive when it comes to the situation with people who entered the country illegally. So the so-called EVIs basically entered without inspection.
Right, right.
These are people who either just cross the border or jump the border, or who use false passports, another person's passport, another nationality passport, to enter the United States. They're all considered entered without inspection. Unfortunately, the current law only allows them one option. Really, there is one option.
Okay.
And this is the political asylum. Unfortunately, people who enter without inspection have no choice when it comes to the issue of getting married to American citizen, or would be very difficult, and maybe after 10 years through some cancellation of removal proceedings, which gets very difficult, and you have to wait for 10 years, and it's still very, very difficult. Unfortunately, cannot apply for a green card through employment, through job, unfortunately not, which many other people can actually do, and don't have too many other options. The only other option when it comes to the marriage, if the marriage goes bad, and then you have a situation of the so-called violence against women, which also applies to men, so meaning abusive American citizen husband or wife, they can use that to get a green card. But these are all very really limited circumstances. The only unfortunately good answer in a situation like this, save of any immigration reform and another change in the law, of course, is that someone, unfortunately, the political asylum, if it is an option, if person really qualifies, if he has a legal ground to apply for asylum, he fears for his life because of returning back to Bangladesh, is the only option which legally we have.
so that's
For people who entered without inspection.
so that's the only option, like they could marry somebody, and
This is the problem with the marriage. So look, if somebody entered without inspection and then get married, the marriage application, basically marriage-based green card, is divided into two parts. The first part, called immigrant petition, the Form I-130, you can do. Go on and file it, and you will get it approved. Yes, because you are married to your citizen.
You're a citizen,
but
right.
still, you have nothing out of it.
right.
You don't get a work authorization, you don't get advance parole, you don't get social security number, you don't get a green card, so you get really nothing. You have an immigrant petition. It is a little bit more difficult to get you deported if you are caught and put in the removal proceedings.
Right.
Used to be called deportation proceedings, that's what they are. However, you still cannot get a green card. Only after 10 years of living illegally in the country,
Okay.
You can ask immigration court for something that's called cancellation of removal. But it's very difficult. There has to be some exceptional and unusual hardships. You have to prove the why is it hardship, what kind of hardship do you have. The limit is like 10,000 cases per year, so it's not that much for the United States.
Right.
The other option that I'm completely against, which the law changed about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, this is when President Obama started making some of these first changes, is that you apply for that so-called provisional waiver. So you get a waiver of your unlawful presence and your unlawful entry to the United States. But that only works if you agree to go back to your home country. In this case, I would guess would be Bangladesh.
Right. Yes, that guy is from Bangladesh.
But it doesn't matter. I mean, home country, wherever that is. And then you wait to complete the green card proceedings at the American consulate in Dhaka, Bangladesh.
Oh, okay.
The problem with this, which I have, is that this is an extremely risky proposition. Even if you have approval of immigrant petition, even if you have approval of a waiver, you have to leave the country, you have to go to Dhaka, Bangladesh, you have to register at the American consulate that you are there, and you have to wait for them to complete the process. My problem with them is that very often, even if you have a waiver approval, so you get a basically like a complete waiver, they say, okay, well, what happened, you enter the country legally, we are waiving all of these objections, this is all fine. American consul in Dhaka, Bangladesh can come up with another grounds why they're not going to issue the so-called immigrant visa. So one has to be very careful about it, because consul can basically say, yes, you have a waiver, this is wonderful, but you have another problem.
Okay, I think we have another phone.
Please.
So let me take that call. Hello. Hello. হ্যাঁ, আসসালামু আলাইকুম। হ্যাঁ, বলুন ভাই, আপনার নাম?
আমার নাম খলিলুর রহমান।
জি জি জি, বলুন আপনি কি জানতে চান?
ভাইজান, আমি 10 বছর আগে এই দেশে আসছি।
জি জি।
আমি মিডল ইস্ট থেকে এই দেশে আসছি।
From Middle East, okay. জি বলুন।
We lost the call.
I think we lost the call.
He'll call back.
Maybe he gonna call again. So he's trying to say that he came from Middle East.
Okay.
And 10 years ago he came.
Okay.
So hopefully, if the call is coming, then we'll talk. So the thing is that you are saying that it is very hard if someone come this country. Without like crossing the border.
Right,
so
cross the border.
That is very hard.
Enters illegally. It doesn't matter
how. That is very
yes.
hard. Okay, my question is, in that case, you are mentioning that after 10 years marrying somebody, they could go back to their country, but when they are trying to go back their country, the law and immigration police gonna card them. Is there a probability?
Let me just correct
because
you.
They don't have any
if
paper.
If they decide to go back
right.
to their home country, they don't have to wait for 10 years. 10 years is only for someone who's already been here for 10 years. They can try that so-called cancellation of removal. Okay. But I'm just telling you, even that is difficult, and you have to do it in deportation proceedings. They call it now removal proceedings. Before the immigration judge, and you have to prove all kind of hardship situations, which is not an easiest thing to prove, particularly for younger applicants, those who are in their 20s and 30s and healthy and basically working and things like this. What kind of hardship they have? None, except that they need papers.
Okay.
But for where the problem is, where I see the problem, and I already had at least one, that one of the clients came to me with this, and I suspected there's probably more out there, is the situation that they decide you don't have to wait for 10 years. You can go on, you get a waiver, you get approval of the waiver, you get approval of immigrant petition, you can go to the American consulate in Dhaka, Bangladesh. Then you wait there for the so-called immigrant visa to be issued. But my problem is you're really at the mercy of the consul, because the American consul can say, yes, you have all the proper papers, this is all okay, but you need additional form, but we have another question, but you're missing another document. So you may be stuck there for like a year or 2 years, and what happens if they say, well, you need another waiver, and you cannot get it? You're out of luck. You cannot come back to the United States. So I do not advise really clients to do that.
Okay.
My suggestion would be fight here in the United States as best as you can, given the circumstances.
Right.
And then we'll try to find a good legal solution for each individual case.
প্রিয় দর্শক, যিনি আমাদেরকে ফোন করেছিলেন নিউ জার্সি থেকে, আপনি হয়তো শুনছেন এখনো আমাদের অনুষ্ঠান, তো ওনার পরামর্শ হচ্ছে, অ্যাটর্নি মারিজিয়ানের পরামর্শ হচ্ছে যে আপনি যদি এই দেশেই থেকে এই দেশ না ত্যাগ করে 10 বছর পরে তাহলে হয়তো একটা পদ্ধতির মধ্য দিয়ে আপনি যেতে পারেন। আমরা বোধহয় আরেকটি ফোন পেয়েছি। হ্যালো, is drop again. The phone is drop again. So anyway, so we're gonna go to the another issue. Some people came here as a visitor.
Yes.
And after visiting that country, I think another phone is
We have
coming.
another call.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello.
হ্যালো আসসালামু আলাইকুম
Yes, alaikum salam.
আমি লং আইল্যান্ড সিটি থেকে বলছি
জি বলুন।
আমি এখানে আপনার লয়ারের সাথে কথা বলতে চাই।
হ্যাঁ, নিশ্চয়ই আপনি প্রশ্ন করুন। উনি শুনছেন, আমি ওনাকে ট্রান্সলেট করে দিব, আর আপনি ইংলিশে করতে পারেন যদি আপনি বলতে চান, আর বাংলায় বলতে পারেন। আমি জি
ওকে, আমি বাংলাদেশ থেকে আসছি
জি
ভিজিট ভিসায়।
জি
আমি স্টুডেন্ট ভিসায় আমার ভিসা স্ট্যাটাসে চেঞ্জ করতে চাই, তো এটা কি করতে পারি?
আচ্ছা, স্টুডেন্ট ভিসায় এসেছেন, আপনি ভিসা স্ট্যাটাস চেঞ্জ করতে চান?
ভিজিট ভিসায় আসছি।
ভিজিট ভিসায়?
জি জি।
আচ্ছা, হ্যাঁ, এটা নিয়ে আমরা আসলে কথা বলছিলাম। আপনি শুনুন, we are actually talking about that, like
You
people
almost
are coming.
asked me the same question.
Same
Yes,
question,
yes,
right?
yes.
So she came here as a visitor, so now she want to stay in that country. So that was our issue.
Yes.
So
I get that question very often, and thank you for your question. I even put that in one of my advertisements because I had to put it because people were surprised that something like this is really possible and this is legal, and I was surprised that people were asking that. So I don't know where this came from, that this is not possible or the people had the problem. Maybe whoever was doing it, and unfortunately we have a lot of agencies and even some immigration attorneys who don't know how to do that. So that's why I was guessing that people were asking whether it's really possible. So the first answer to that question is yes. It is possible and it's perfectly legal to change your status from a B1, B2, providing that you are still legally maintaining your lawful non-immigrant B1, B2 status into another visa status.
Okay.
Now, what that other visa status is, it depends on what you do.
I think there is another call.
So
Can
the
I
answer was
interrupt you?
yes.
Hello. Yes. Hello. Assalamu alaikum.
হ্যাঁ, ওয়ালাইকুম সালাম। আমি একটা প্রশ্ন করতে চাই। আমি দেখছি এই অনুষ্ঠানটা দেখছি
জি জি
টাইম টিভিতে। তো আমার প্রশ্নটা হচ্ছে যে কোনো স্পাউস যদি গ্রিন কার্ড দিয়ে অ্যাপ্লাই করে তাহলে কতদিন লাগবে মানে তাকে আসতে এখানে?
গ্রিন কার্ড দিয়ে অ্যাপ্লাই করতে, তাই তো? থ্যাংক ইউ, আপনার প্রশ্নের জন্য ধন্যবাদ। আমরা আপনার প্রশ্নের জবাব নিশ্চয়ই আমরা দেব আমাদের লয়ারের মধ্য দিয়ে। তার আগে আমরা আরেকটি প্রসঙ্গ যেটি নিয়ে কথা বলছিলাম, আপনি আমাদের সাথেই থাকুন, আমরা নিশ্চয়ই আপনার প্রশ্নে যাব। So another lady actually call that she has green card.
Okay.
So she want to apply for her spouse. So how long it will take? But before go to that question, can you kindly finish that?
Yes, so we'll answer
Sure.
that about the green card, which is relatively
Right,
easy
right.
quota issue.
Right.
I'll explain how it works. So once again, it is legally possible to change status from a B1, B2 while you're still maintaining it to any other type of visa.
Right.
You cannot come to the United States with an idea that that's what you're going to do, because then you're entering with a basically false pretense. You're coming as a tourist, but you're really not a tourist. However, once you're here, and if you like this country, and if you like to stay, some people do, the others leave. That's perfectly fine. Or they keep on coming because they're not sure, which is also perfectly fine.
Okay.
Once you decide, then basically you can change your status, but you have, once again, you cannot slip out of status. So make sure that you check what really is your authorized period of stay in the United States. You have to be very careful about it.
This means they have to have their visa by this time they're applying,
Exactly.
right?
They got a certain
Okay.
stamps in a passport, and you can check it on the internet. There are ways of doing
Right.
it. And once again, I'm suggesting everyone to call my office and to consult with me exactly what their time really is, because some people have a misperception. I think it's now on the screen. That's 213-5700 number. So you can change it into student visa, investor's visa, work visa, journalist visa. There are a couple of professional, non-professional work visas. There are many other work visas basically that you can really change, or you can directly apply for green card, which is a little bit more difficult and problematic. But you can definitely do that. So the answer to the previous caller question is yes. Now, how to do it? I'm just cautioning everyone that even a very easy and straightforward thing like changing from a B1, B2 to student visa F1,
we get
may
a-
be a challenge.
we
Maybe may not be as easy as it sounds.
We get another phone call. Sorry.
Yes.
Hello.
আমি না কিছুই শুনতে পারলাম না উনি অ্যানসার করছেন ঠিকই কিন্তু সবই কেটে 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 গেছে
ও আচ্ছা আচ্ছা, ঠিক আছে, আমরা আমরা আবার রিপিট করছি, আপনি আমাদের সাথেই থাকুন, আমরা দুঃখ প্রকাশ করছি, আপনি সাথেই থাকুন।
আমি আরেকটা প্রশ্ন আমার যে যদি স্পাউস যিনি করছেন নাকি এটার জন্য তো অ্যাপ্লাই সে যদি সিটিজেন হয়ে যায় তারপরেই বা কতদিন লাগতে পারে
শিওর শিওর, আমরা এই বিষয়টি আমরা সংযুক্ত করব। আপনাকে প্রশ্ন করার জন্য অসংখ্য ধন্যবাদ। আসসালামু আলাইকুম। Okay, I think the same lady call again, who was asking question like how long it will take as a
green card holder. Yes.
But she add some other question like by this time if she get citizen, what's gonna happen? So we'll answer that after finish that.
So actually, let's start with the second question.
Right.
If it's possible to wait, I would suggest becoming citizen first and then filing marriage application. And I will tell you why. For the US citizens, when they file marriage-based applications for their spouses are considered the so-called immediate relatives.
Okay.
Immediate relatives are husband, wife, son, children, and parents. What happens in these cases is that there is no quota, there is no waiting, there is no limitation how many of them can enter the United States. For all other family members, brothers, sisters, adult sons and daughters, married sons and daughters, and all others, there are horrible quotas and a horrible waiting time. To give you an idea, if you want to sponsor your brother or sister and you are a US citizen and your brother is in Bangladesh, it's a 10 to 15 years of waiting.
It's a long time.
It's a very long time. It's so long that I usually suggest not to do that. My suggestion is to do something else. Because the time is so long that I usually tell people that I will probably retire by the time that already happens. And I'm not that old, by the way. So just to give you an idea. Now, to answer her first question about the green card, unfortunately, for the purposes of a green card, people, the immigration law envisions, and they impose these quotas. There is a quota, basically, there is a certain waiting line when a green card holder sponsor their spouses, and there are no immediate relatives there. So the quota is currently somewhere between 2 to 3 years of waiting. So that means if you file as a green card holder a petition for your husband or wife who happens to be anywhere in the world, and could be Canada, could be Mexico, it doesn't matter how close the person is, you can file the petition, immigration will process it, immigration will approve it, maybe like in 6 months or a year. However, you will still wait another year or 2 years simply for the quota to move before the consulate will call that person to complete the processing. So, if possible, you can do the calculation how long it's going to take you to get a citizenship. If it's a 2 to 3 years, my suggestion would be probably to wait. So I don't see that this is an option.
So isn't that good that people should apply while they have green card?
Well, look, it's a real matter.
Because by the time, suppose like the lady asked the question, suppose he apply for her spouse as a green card holder, then after 1 year he get a US citizenship. So what they gonna do that time?
Well, yes, you can apply. You can then convert that petition based on your citizenship, something like this. Although the conversion is not the easiest thing in the world, so I'm cautioning about it too. But the issue is this: we would need to sit down and do the review. When did she obtain her citizenship? Her green card.
Right.
How long would it take for her to get a citizenship? Do we have any legal problems or impediments? Meaning, is there something why she would never be able to get a citizenship? Maybe English language problem, maybe test issue, maybe inadmissibilities, maybe crime, maybe something, because you can tell someone, well, just wait another 2 to 3 years, and a person comes after 2 to 3 years, just that you discover that you really cannot do that. So this has to be really carefully analyzed, whether you can really do it or not. So do the math, do the analysis, look at a calendar. The other option which I'm telling you, which you may want to consider, if you have someone abroad who's never been in the United States, so that means never been illegally here, never had any visa problems or something like this, consider bringing that person on another type of a visa to come over here. Exactly, to come over here, just to see whether that marriage would work, whether that connection would work or something like this. Now, tourist visa is not really appropriate if they are certain about the marriage. But if they are not certain about marriage, The person can apply for a B1, B2 visa and enter the country as a tourist, and then basically if something happens with the marriage, good. If nothing happens, well, then he is basically a tourist. There are other types of visas, maybe like the student visas, also work visas, investors visas, that one can maybe consider, because then you only have a couple of weeks of waiting, whatever processing you have at the American consulate, or if you need to go through the immigration, maybe like a couple of months, but not longer than this. So I would really, the reason why I like to sit down with people in my office and review all of these options to see, do we maybe have something that's a better option than filing for green card as a permanent resident, as a green card holder? Because in my view, that's probably the worst thing you can do.
Right.
Unless person just got a green card, will not become a citizen for another 4 years, and doesn't have any other options, visa options for her, in her case, her husband or wife, then probably that is an option. But I would really like to explore in that case the option of bringing that person maybe through a job. How about, sponsoring him for a green card through employment, which takes only 2 to 3 years. So you're kind of saving some time there if you really want to bring that person legally in the United States as soon as possible. Looking into work visas, why not look at the H-1B visa if it's possible? Why not look at the E-2 visa if it's possible, the investor's visa? Things like this, which can take only maybe a couple of weeks to a couple of months.
Okay.
I think it's better than waiting 3 to 4 years.
Okay.
But that's something a qualified lawyer, and I'm glad you're putting once again my number, so people should really call. This is a qualified attorney, should sit down with the clients, review all the facts, and then make a legal determination and decide on a legal strategy as to how to resolve that really life issue for them, because it sounds like it's issue of husband or wife. So it's something that's basically life critical issue for
I
them.
think we get another phone call. Hello. Hello.
Looks like they're arguing over that. Yes.
আমার প্রশ্নটা ছিল যে গ্রিন কার্ড দিয়ে অ্যাপ্লাই করেছে অলরেডি, কিন্তু এখন যদি সে সিটিজেন হয়ে যায়, তারপর থেকে কতদিন লাগবে?
Oh, okay. So there is another woman. He was actually listening our conversation. So she specifically want to know that while she already apply for as her spouse as a green card holder, she already applied.
Okay.
And he became US citizen. She became she gonna became US citizen.
Okay.
Next year. I probably.
Okay.
So what she gonna do? Like how the status gonna change? Is there been any impediment?
Right. Well, hopefully she will receive her. It's a good question. So this is like a continuation of what we spoke about. Hopefully, and my congratulations, I'm hoping you will receive your citizenship. So that's the issue number one. Are you sure that you'll pass all the tests, that you will pass the interview, that you have all the taxes in order, that you have all the trips in order, that you're ready for the interview, that you're ready for the citizenship test, which is going to ask you how many states are in the United States. They're going to ask you basically about the American Revolutionary War and many other wars. Make sure you pass that test. Once you do it and you get your citizenship certificate, make sure everything is okay with your previous immigration history, that your dates of birth matches, and that everything else that matches the way it should be. So you understand what I mean. Now, once this is all in order, and you have basically permanent resident application for your husband, or in this case probably the husband. So basically what you need to do, you need to convert it, because you become a citizen, you convert that one. You can file new application if you want, but you can also try to convert the existing one and just send them the citizenship certificate, send them a nice letter. If it's already with the consulate, it's easier than if it's still with immigration service. If it's still with immigration service, I would just let it go. I would probably file a new one. But if it's at a consulate, after like a year and a half of waiting, I think it's easier just to send everything to the consulate and tell them, look, now this is a different quota. There is no quota really because I became a citizen. They're supposed to change it.
ওকে, সো প্রিয় দর্শক, আপনি শুনতে পেলেন যে আপনি যেহেতু গ্রিন কার্ড দিয়ে অ্যাপ্লাই করেছেন এবং শীঘ্রই আপনি আপনার সিটিজেনশিপ পেতে চাচ্ছেন, আপনি জাস্ট কনভার্ট করে ওদেরকে ইমিগ্রেশন বিভাগকে জানাতে হবে, সিটিজেনশিপের সার্টিফিকেট পাঠাতে হবে। সো উই জাস্ট হ্যাভ 1 minute.
Okay.
We're gonna finish very quickly, if you want to say something to our viewer within 30 seconds, you could tell.
Yes, I definitely do. I would like to thank you very much for having me to participate in the program. I would like to call and to invite all of the viewers to please call my office at 718-213-5700. There's always somebody who will be able to speak in Bengali, and then meet with me in my Jackson Heights office, which is on Roosevelt Avenue, corner of Roosevelt Avenue and Broadway in Jackson Heights. Please come to us, meet with us, let's discuss these issues. They may appear to be easy, but they're really not. There are so many difficulties and problems that you won't believe it, and I'm really happy to help you.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Mr. Marijan, to came here, and thanks for your suggestion. And hopefully,
pleasure.
hopefully we're gonna talk about immigration law and immigration issue later on.
Once
in
again, very
another
soon.
program.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
so much.
Thank you to all the callers.
প্রিয় দর্শক, আমাদের ল অ্যান্ড ইমিগ্রেশন অনুষ্ঠানটি আজকের মতো এখানেই শেষ হচ্ছে। আপনারা জানেন প্রতি সপ্তাহে এই অনুষ্ঠানটি প্রচারিত হয়ে থাকে। আপনারা আপনাদের প্রশ্ন, সমস্যা এবং বিভিন্ন জানার যে সমস্ত বিষয় আছে ল অ্যান্ড ইমিগ্রেশন সংক্রান্ত, আপনারা নির্দ্বিধায় আমাদেরকে প্রশ্ন করতে পারেন। এবং আপনারা জানেন যে আমাদের এই অনুষ্ঠানটি যখন প্রচারিত হয় তখন সরাসরি ফোন করার সুযোগ রয়েছে। আপনারা আমাদের ফোন করবেন, আপনাদের বিভিন্ন জানার কিছু থাকলে আমাদেরকে প্রশ্ন করবেন। এটাই আপনাদের কাছে আমাদের প্রত্যাশা। টাইম টেলিভিশনের সাথে থাকুন এবং ল অ্যান্ড ইমিগ্রেশনে চোখ রাখুন। ধন্যবাদ।